Noise pilot.
Hello, 2025. It is the Punt Pals podcast. Robbie and Nick back at you for the new year. It's been a little bit of a time coming, but we've finally got ourselves on the air and ready to roll. Nick Restovic, hello. How are you, buddy?
Great, man. Going very well. Very excited to get stuck back into it. Feels like it's been a bigger build-up than the Gladiator 2, mate. Sequel, the podcast for 2025, but we're back.
It does feel a bit that way, doesn't it? And I mean, I know you've been copping lots of messages, people going, when are you boys back? When are you back? And finally we are. Look, I'm going to turn that TV screen off for you. So you've got a nice black background that you can't see, Nico, but I can. It's distracting. Man, how good. How was your holidays? Start
Mate, it was
off. You've
big.
been away in NZ.
Well, we started with the inaugural Punt Pals fishing trip, didn't we, mate?
Yes,
Late
inaugural.
last year. So that was a big hoot, wasn't it? We managed to get the Swan River and have a bit of a fish together, and you sort of a bit foxing, I think, mate. You talked down your fishing skills. First cast, bang, straight onto a flounder.
How good's that? How good's that? But it was all complete. Like, it was basically you just doing it for me and me reeling it in.
Mate, however you can get them, you get them. That's how it's done, mate. It's fishing for you. But no, it was a great day. And then been on holidays, mate. So it's been my fault the podcast has taken a while to get back. I've been over in the land of the long white cloud, mate, New Zealand.
Beautiful. You had a family holiday over there. I know you've been doing more fishing.
Yeah, look, mate. Family holiday disguises more of a fishing trip.
Well
but it was a good time, mate. Had a great time over there. Switched off, went fishing all up the northern coast there in the North Island. And, mate, you got to get your lingo right over in New Zealand.
Oh, did you stuff it up?
Well, mate, I had a bit of a thong
your
blow
Aussie
out.
slang?
Had the old Havaianas and blew the thong out. You know how you sort of pull the piece through and then your thongs are ruined, right?
The old Havies.
Tried the bread clip trick, mate. You put that in the bottom. That worked for a little bit, but needed to get a new pair of thongs. So
Yeah, right.
headed in the local department store there, mate. Asked for a pair of thongs, and lady asked me what size. I said, size 12. And she looked me up and down and led me over to the women's underwear area, mate. So it was a bit awkward. I think she thought it might have been a size 16, but thongs are called jandals in New Zealand for those going over, mate. So that was a quick story.
Jandals. I was thinking it would be flip-flops, but I thought she was thinking, oh, guy, this is a 12-incher. He's a big boy.
Oh, mate, maybe she might have thought that, but the look she gave me probably suggested the opposite. So it was a great trip, man. But more importantly, back here to launch into the sport. How was your holidays, mate?
Mate, it's been good. And I'll tell you what, since I've seen you last, I've done a lot. So I did a gout clinical trial because I get gout in my foot.
Yep.
So I spent a week just testing out a cream. Went in for a couple of appointments, a few blood tests, and got it done, mate. $1,800 later, I'm sweet.
Mate, well, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, haven't grown a third arm or anything, so that's good.
Positive progress then, mate. Would you recommend to others the cream, or at that stage?
Yeah, I don't know when it'll go on the market. It could be years away, they reckon, but it worked for me, so it was good.
It's got struck straight back into beers after, I guess.
Straight on it, mate, during as well.
Yes, how good.
And on top of that, I did jury duty. Yeah. Didn't get on a case, but I spent a couple of days in the courthouse there.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Yeah.
Mate, I got into a case, but they didn't call me up because what they do with jury duty is when they call your number, because you're just sitting in a lounge room waiting for your number to get called out, they need 14 for the jury, but they call about 20 in because the lawyers can protest as you get called out.
Yeah, right.
I didn't get protested, but I didn't get called either. So I just sat in the back of the courtroom. It was probably half an hour, and then they said, on your way, buddy.
Do you
on
reckon
your
they
bike.
just looked up a bit of your content there in the old Pump House podcast and wondered if you were credible or not?
100%. Mate, they said, get this guy out of here. He is dodgy as hell, and he's probably going to let our guy off. Which
He's running some sort of betting syndicate in the background. Yeah, nice, mate.
I tell you what, it wasn't the worst thing going on in that courthouse. Bloody terrible. So here we are, mate, a couple of months later, and, we had our last show at the races. I'm coughing away because, I'm not used to talking this much already. And that went well at Ascot, and we closed off and we did our holidays and we've made it back. And I think it's one of those things where a couple of weeks out from AFL, we've just got to do a summer summary. We've got to go, this is what happened over the summer, because there's been a lot.
Plenty of highlights, weren't there? And looking over this list we've prepared today, plenty of great moments for the Aussies too, so can't wait to rip in.
Yeah, well, should we start off with the Test series, the cricket?
Yeah, this is your jam, mate.
Oh, mate, I'm not even going to get into analysis. I'm just going to say, see you later, India. You've come over. You've been chirpy. You've wanted to take it to the Aussies, and it just hasn't happened. You've gone down 3-1. Sam Constas owned Bumrah in one game, and he probably didn't do much else, to be honest, but, he became his father, and that's all that matters. So, big tick for the Aussies there, 3-1.
There's huge media surrounding the series too. It just felt like cricket was alive over here in the country, and geez, they were off to a crowing early, weren't they, India?
Oh, they were.
They won much in the bank, and they thought they were going to take us in a clean sweep, so it was good to stick one up them.
We kind of let the team down in Perth, didn't we? It was a clean sweep pretty much, other than the WA Test, where India absolutely trounced us, to be honest. It was disgraceful, and then all over. So see you later.
Then when we welcomed in the BBL season, mate, didn't we?
Mate, interesting one. So I reckon the big highlight around this. So Hobart won it in the end, but Mitch Owen, the man himself, went bang. Fastest century ever in the BBL, equal with Craig Simmons, a good Perth scorcher, 39 balls. Secured Hobart's maiden title. It was good. It was all easy done in the end. And suck all Sydney.
The local boy got the job done, didn't he?
He did.
Mitch Owen. Outstanding performance. Great game to watch. And I just like seeing the upsets when the maiden win comes through or the team not fancied in the BBL. It's just good to change it up, isn't it, mate?
Isn't it? Yeah. If the Scorchers can't win, I like seeing Hobart win.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Scorchers were disappointing though, weren't they, briefly, to touch on. They didn't make it. In the end, they went down at home in a couple of close games. It was a bit disappointing.
It was disappointing. I've got to say, man, I didn't follow the BBL as closely this year as what I did other years. I think there was just a lot going on and it was hard to tune in every night. But I caught the finals, and I guess the Scorchers not doing well.
Yeah,
kind of
lose interest, don't you?
Yeah, I lost my interest a bit as well. But good to see Cooper Connolly get a Test debut. That was nice.
Yeah, he's the buzz boy at the moment, isn't he?
I don't know what he was actually playing as. I think he was in the team as a spinner, but he did nothing with the bat or ball. So he's a work in progress.
Yeah, he went for a duck today. I went to watch the Scorchers there at Optus Stadium. So, mate, still good to have a homegrown hero there in the national colours, mate, for sure.
Speaking of which, Josh Inglis.
Yeah,
Man,
true.
what a Test debut.
Yeah, exactly. So we've had a couple of homegrown heroes, haven't we, mate?
We certainly have, mate. Another summer highlight was the racing. So I guess there's a couple of things we can touch on here. And one that I know that you were getting right around. You weren't happy with this. A jockey whipping another jockey.
I know. Racing integrity is worried about the fans thinking the whip is brutal, but what about a jockey just taking to another jockey with a shillelagh?
He might have enjoyed it. I don't know what way he swings, but he might have gone, thank you very much, sir.
What a story. In South Africa, of course, Gavin Lorena gave a rival jockey, Jason Gates, a few reminders with the whip down the straight, mate, which was bloody hilarious to me. It made national news, international racing news. There was a ban after, but it was just funny.
Do you reckon it was a bit of an extension of the dressing room? You know, like these boys are having
100%.
a little bit of a play with each other and they're like, dung, dung.
Well,
like a little bit flirty on the racetrack.
I think it was, mate. There was a bit of banter in it. They both gave each other a couple, so all's fair in love and war. But I think what happened is the jockey on the outside wouldn't let the favoured horse in the race get out into the pocket. So instead of budging his way out, he just gave the jockey a couple of reminders and said, mate, clear out. I'm trying to get a clear galloping room here. So that was very funny. Big highlight from the summer.
Fair, I would have said. Absolutely fair. Also, Perth Cup. Now, we were both there. You were sort of in and out quite quickly because your young fella was a bit crook that day. But
yeah.
Hemlock Stone winning at one point, paying 80-1 was amazing. It was so great.
It was. And for Bellis Racing as well.
Yeah.
The syndicator here in WA. They've had a long history with WA Racing and a great group of owners in that horse, just having a free throw at the stumps, no expectations. And, of course, they win one of Perth's feature races. So it was a tearjerker for those on course, mate. And, that horse just comes from nowhere. $81 was pretty much the story of the spring, wasn't it, mate? Big winners everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I've ever actually seen such a big owners group as well. There must have been 300 of them all flocked around getting the trophy at the end of the race.
Would have been an expensive bill for the winners' drinks after, I reckon, mate.
I wouldn't have wanted to be shouting that. I like shouting at the best of times, Nick.
So Perth Cup, mate, $80 to $1 winner. Melbourne Cup, bloody $90 winner. It was just one of those sort of periods of racing where anyone could win, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And that's kind of nice to see. It's not good for the punters, but it is good for the excitement of racing. Like, there's nothing better than if your horse doesn't get up to see some rank outsider just take the field.
Exactly.
I think it's kind of nice, you know?
Well, especially local horse beating up some of the horse that came over from interstate too. So
Yeah.
I love seeing the WA horse, cheap price at the sale, get the job done in a big race. It's awesome.
Boom. It's amazing, actually. Super Bowl, what was your take on it, man? For me, it was just a boring game.
Yeah, it was. I just find it a bit stop-start, to be honest.
Yeah.
I liked the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. Got a bit of flack, didn't it? And I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know if it deserved the flag. I enjoyed it. Honestly, didn't know many of the songs. I'm not even going to pretend that I knew any more than one of Kendrick's songs. But I enjoyed the performance. I thought he was quite good.
Yeah, rivalry with him and Drake obviously dominated many, didn't it?
Yeah,
Came out and played the song just not like us. But yeah, mate, I thought Patrick Mahomes would be the star on the day, and he just got bullied up, didn't he?
He was Patrick Chokeholmes. He had a stinker.
Yeah, he didn't go well and admitted it post game, but his defensive line weren't really keeping those tackles away from him. So yeah, big upset, mate, in that one. And I know a lot of people did their dosh on the Chiefs, so it was a bit of an upset.
It was an upset. And I'll tell you what, the one thing I loved about the Super Bowl is I mentioned jury duty before. I was sitting in jury duty for the first day, and I just had it on KO. Just had me phone on, and oh man, it was good. It was quiet time, actually. No one was bothering me.
I start going through the procedures and you're just on KO cheering the Super Bowl. I'm not sure why you didn't make the cut, mate.
Hey, it was smart from me, I reckon.
Very well played, mate.
Man, also rugby sevens.
Yeah.
This was actually an amazing day. So I went along on the Saturday, which was just before Australia Day. And do you know what? The crowd, not bad. There was Aussies there, a fair whack. There was South Africans. There was Kiwis, a few Poms as well. But the stars of the show, and you will not believe this, was the Kenyans.
Oh, dancing, no doubt, just going bananas.
Dancing. They had a whole party out the back. They took a whole wing of HBF Stadium or whatever it's called now. I don't think it's HBF. Man, and they went bananas. Like, they brought the whole vibe of the day, and everyone was in there partying with the Kenyans. They went nuts when their team played. It was actually an amazing day. It would have been good anyway, but they just lifted it to another level.
Yeah, it's a bit of a party atmosphere out there by the sounds of it. Rugby sevens is good, isn't it? Good product.
It's great. And everyone rocks up in bloody costumes and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
It's good.
I've got a few at home. I might have to roll out for the next sevens adventure over here in Perth, mate.
Not sure they'd be appropriate. Based on your thongs?
No, that's true, mate. Yeah, a couple of New Zealand specials. And then we just had the NBA mega trade of the decade almost, didn't we, mate?
Hell?
Luka
What the hell?
Doncic traded to the Lakers from the Mavs, and Anthony in a straight swap to the Mavs, Anthony Davis.
Huge.
No one saw it coming. It was everywhere in the press. Decided as Luka potentially not fit enough to do the things he's required to do at the Mavs. But, geez, the fans were absolutely in some sort of mutiny against the management there at the Mavs, weren't they?
Have you seen the comments on the Mavs social media?
Few.
They are just destroying them at the moment. And so they should.
Yeah.
He's close. If he's not the best player in the league, he's up there. It's like trading the Bont for, I don't know, Jai Caldwell from Essendon.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
A decent player, but he ain't the Bont.
It's a weird one, and Anthony Davis already injured for the Mavs, so he'll miss some games. And apparently maybe LeBron and Davis didn't see eye to eye, and LeBron's probably given the kiss of death to a few players the Lakers have traded away, so he clearly has a bit of sway there at the Lakers.
Yeah, you're probably
Big
not wrong.
Bronny.
Maybe AD wasn't very nice to Bronny and little Bronny.
Yeah,
and it was all done.
Here we go. So, yeah, don't cross Bronny, that's for sure, mate.
Do not cross Bronny. God. While we're on basketball, actually, Bryce Cotton, mate, how good was his season?
Probably one of the best individual seasons you'll see. 2 50-point games, broke the record, of course, claimed his 5th NBL MVP award, and only behind Andrew Gaze now holds the second most league MVP awards. Gaze's got 7 and Bryce Cotton's got 5. So won the scoring champion of the league, absolute superstar, out of contract. So that's big news for the Cats this year.
It's massive. He'd surely have a couple more in him, wouldn't he? A couple of championships, a couple of
for sure.
MVPs, I should say.
I think he does, and I think it depends on whether he stays in the league. There's been spook that he might go over to the NBA and finally show his wares over there, but we hope he stays because, geez, he just packs out that stadium every time here in Perth.
Bloody oath. I mean, you want him here in Perth playing for the Wildcats. Do you reckon he's got it in him to play in the NBA, or is he not quite there?
I do. The knock on him has always been his height.
Yeah, which is fair. He's pretty
which
short.
is fair, but you can't be putting up 50 points in a league like the NBL. I've seen lesser players that can score less in the NBL go to the NBA and be successful. So, tough act to follow. He's got to get a starting spot as a shooting guard in one of those NBA teams, which is tough. Step up from NBL level, but.
Yeah.
Mate, we haven't seen anyone like him in our league for a long, long time, so he's got to have a decent shout, doesn't he?
Yeah, you want to see him go over and have a crack, surely.
And we dogged him. We tried to be a nationalised Australian and play for the Boomers, and the government shut him down, so he's probably a bit jaded by that.
Yeah, but that's not Perth's fault. We were trying our best to get him over the line.
Yeah, we love it in Perth. That means he's not an import anymore, and we can get another import on top of that. So
love that.
Perth Wildcats strategy 101, mate.
Mate, if you can get that over the line, smart as. That's all I'll say. Not so smart, though, we're still on the NBL. Xavier Cook. Now, I'm going to admit, no idea who he is until you actually brought this up and put it in the notes, but he's been done for drugs?
He has, mate. Yeah, on the eve of the finals. This was a huge story. Banned during the NBL final series this year for testing positive to recreational drugs.
Wow.
In this case, a couple of nose beers, mate, I think. And, mate, it's the NBL's pretty ruthless. There's no AFL multiple strikes not disclosed to the media. Yeah. It's been disclosed to the media what he's been banned for. And it's a huge loss for the Kings, man. He's the best player in the league in 2023-2022 season. He was league MVP.
Right.
So, yeah, huge loss for the Kings, and I'd say that probably cooks their finals chances, I think.
How long did you say he's out for?
I think, a few months at this stage.
Yeah,
Still an ongoing trial. So temporarily banned, I guess, until they go through the proper process. But, mate, it sucks, really, in many ways for Kings fans. But
Sucks, sniffs, one of the two.
Yeah, exactly. Bit of hay fever down there at Sydney Stadium. So that was a huge story, and almost as big as the Challenge Stadium debacle with the Wildcats, mate.
Wow, that was just, I was going to say it was nuts, but it was just completely shit.
Mate.
Do you know what, though? As it turns out, they probably wouldn't have been able to play there anyway. Like, they would have had to make a last-minute change. So that probably ended up in the Wildcats' favour. And the reason I say that is because the Bryan Adams concert on Sunday had some serious septic issues, and there was shit floating through RAC Stadium. Yeah. So I don't know if they would have had it cleaned up by Tuesday.
Mate, yeah, exactly. They might have avoided the shitstorm, to your point, by shifting your challenge. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how this happens in this day and age, really, mate. You've got a final, which is one of the biggest games of the year. You move into a stadium with half the capacity that you played in 15 years ago. Yeah. I was still working the Wildcats when we played at Challenge Stadium, mate. That's how long ago it was. Wow. And, mate, I had still fans blowing up my phone thinking I still worked there.
Thinking you still work there?
Just saying, mate, sort your shit out at head office. Which I quickly pushed back and said, mate, I'm as filthy as you guys are. But, yeah, mate, pretty bad. And you think the NBL would step in and fix that issue. I wouldn't imagine the AFL would be getting involved if it happened to, say, Freo. Go play at Old Subi or go play at East Perth Stadium there for a proper AFL game. It just wouldn't happen.
Oh, I just don't understand. I don't get whose fault it was, because if it's booked, it's booked. But why hadn't the Wildcats booked it?
It's just a money thing, mate. I think the arena quickly figured out they can make probably 50 times the amount of money on a Kylie series, right. And they said, Wildcats, ship off. You're not giving us enough coin, and that's what happens, mate.
Damn.
Money speaks.
Wouldn't have someone seen it, because this concert was announced a long time ago, wouldn't have someone said, oh, guys, we're probably going to be playing playoffs at that time?
There's a blackout period. There always has been. Even when I was working there, the NBL would provide the period, and essentially they'd black it out.
Yeah. Wouldn't they flag it straight away? So someone's stuffed up there.
Mate, someone's stuffed up massively at the Cats.
Yeah.
And that's what the fans want. They want blood. I think they want to know who stuffed it up and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think the club's done its best. But there were ticket outages for people trying to buy tickets for the final challenge. There were 1,000 empty seats. Yeah,
well, they only ended up getting like 2,900 people there.
So, like, you didn't pack that stadium out. You had Ticketmaster issues. The fans are upset. The members who pay season tickets, they were expecting to play and be in their seat that they pay for at Perth Arena. So, being a former membership manager, mate, I would not have liked to have been in that chair.
It would have been horrible, but the Wildcats won. So that's the big benefit out of it, I suppose, but not good. Hey, mate, the other thing I want to go through quickly, and this has been the big news in sport over the last 2-3 days, is Yannick Sinner. So the Italian tennis player, in what is one of the great stitch-ups to anyone, a.k.a. Shayna Jack, the Essendon Football Club, who's been done for drugs, and they not necessarily should be found guilty because it's never been proven. Yannick Sinner, he's pleaded his innocence for a while, and then he's just agreed to a 3-month ban, basically saying I'm guilty. And did you hear about how it got into his system?
Mate, I've tried to stay relatively across it, but it's evolving, isn't it?
Mate, so what basically happened was, this is Sinner's story. It got in his system this way. So his massage therapist took some sort of cream for a cut on his hand. Mm-hmm. And so then he massaged Yannick, and somehow it's got into his bloodstream from there. And that's how he's been tested positive.
How do you feel about that, mate?
It is horse shit.
Yeah, it sounds shady as.
Oh, it's horrible. And basically, all the tennis players are arcing up as well. Nick Kyrgios, no titles lost, no prize money lost, guilty or not, sad day for tennis. Fairness in tennis does not exist. Daniil Medvedev, I hope that from now on everyone can talk to wider, and if they tell you we found this, it's 2 years, you answer no, I want 1 month.
Yeah, what is with that? Yeah.
And Stan Wawrinka went off as well on X. Mate, people are teeing off, and so they should be, because the ban is essentially just sitting in between the Opens. So
Yep.
no fine, nothing lost. He doesn't lose a title. The ban starts after the Australian Open, and it finishes just in time for the French Open.
But Joe Watson would be fuming, wouldn't he?
Joe Watson would be pissed.
Lose the Brownlow. I mean, yeah, it seems soft to me, and he's obviously the Australian Open winner, isn't he?
Yeah, two times in a row.
I mean, that's where it's topical here in Australia. People thinking, well, where's the integrity in our sport?
Yep, it's ridiculous. And you just go, mate, like if you're the pin-up boy, the man of the moment, they're going to let you off, and yeah, it's horseshit.
Yeah,
it's pretty disappointing.
Well, I've sensed a bit of a Robbie's roast section coming out in the sim there. It's fired him right up.
It could happen at some point. Mate, should we move on to the AFL? Because we're about to hit that time of the season. We're a couple of weeks off, round O, which personally I think is the dumbest thing in the world. Just call it round 1, do the same thing, but have all the other games.
Yeah. Bit weird, isn't it?
Oh, it's stupid.
Split round.
Split round, but it's not even a split round, because then the round 1 fixture is just the full round, isn't it?
It is, mate. But we get Thursday night footy back, so
we do, and that's a good thing.
I'm erring on the side of the positives early on, I know, mate. But give me a few episodes in, and I'll start tearing up.
But don't you reckon, like Thursday night footy, I would love to see it as a fixture every week.
Yeah, we talked about it so many times last year in the potty, and got good traction. I just think, finishing in July and then going back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. I like the extended weekend, mate, don't we?
It's beautiful. It does make you feel like Friday, the weekend started, even though it hasn't. You got to go to work, but it just feels good.
You go to work the next day and you're talking about sport.
Yeah.
You know, how'd your team go last night? How'd your AFL same game multi go? It's just a great bit of banter at work with everyone. And, mate, I just don't get it. They're just tinkering with the format too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get on a winner and then you don't see through. I don't know. It's disappointing.
It's gonna make its way to the roast again. I feel it.
I think it should. But wanted to start the footy talk off with something that just caught my eye during the week. I was thinking about the best players. For me, I'm an Essendon fan, that are non-Bombers related at all, that you just love to watch, like your favourite players to watch in the AFL.
You tune in for games that you wouldn't normally just to watch these guys, right?
Pretty much. And you just go, man, I wish they were in my team's jumper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a bit of FOMO there.
Yeah, so I've come across 5. Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Mate, you're the king of the top 5. So
All right.
I don't want to. I might not be a tough act to follow, but happy for you to open the batting there. Good for.
All right, so the top 5 non-Essendon players for me that are just my favourites to watch. I'm starting off with Harley Reid of the West Coast Eagles. Is there really an explanation needed? Raw talent. He could be anything in the years to come. I don't know. I just think he's one of the great talents to watch. And you're not going to get it out of him every game, but when he's on, for a young buck, he is on, mate.
And he's on the front page and the back page of the paper over here in the West. And he's on, all right, I tell you. I'm with you, mate. He can burst away from stoppage. He's given the double stiff arm last year famously in that Melbourne game against Petrarca and Oliver. And, another year, another preseason, he'll be big.
Goal of the year, huge. Jeremy Cameron, speaking of goal kickers, he's a big man. He's taken his game to the next level. Because I notice Cameron plays up the ground a lot now. Like, he'll pick up 20 posies in a lot of games. I don't know if it's going to be the same this year because Tom Hawkins is out of that side and he's retired. But Jeremy Cameron, he's one of the greats to watch, and he's a funny man.
Yeah, he's got a good Instagram channel, doesn't he? The old farmer.
Yes.
Just on that particular topic, which is a good one made. Does he need to go closer to home now that Tom Hawkins is out of the side? They've got Shannon Neal down there, but apart from that, they lack sort of emerging key forwards, big key forwards.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't really think who else they've got up there. Have they got De Koning? Is he playing back or is he forward?
He's back. They've got Shannon Neal, who's probably the emerging guy that took Hawkins' spot last year, but he's only 22, 23, not quite in his prime. So I think he may need to play more forward time and hit the scoreboard with more impact.
He might have to be home a bit more, you're right. Do you know what I miss, actually? Because my next guy is Jesse Hogan, and he's that forward that he just looks ominous every time when he's on. You know, he's got that great delivery from the GWS midfielders, and he pops up, kicks 4 goals, turns the game, and, you know, he obviously won the Coleman medal last year. He's a great player, Jesse Hogan. But with Cameron and Jesse Hogan, they're full forwards, right? And I just miss full forwards being home all the time.
Yeah,
I just want to see that one-on-one, lead out, kick goals, you know? Like, let everybody else stream up and flood down to the back, but just have someone there in the goal square all game.
Yeah,
I miss
mate.
it.
And to your point, it's probably why we don't see the 100-goal years anymore either too, right?
Yeah.
70-80 is a good tally this year, these days in modern footy. And Jesse Hogan, I mean, what did he kick last year? 76, 78 goals?
Something around there, yeah, that's elite these days, as you say.
You got and accuracy elite as well. So you think he's going to get more supply this year? Could he, 85 plus would be probably in his remit, I think.
Potentially. He's got a good forward line around him, so they're always going to steal a few, but I mean, they're obviously going to play high-pressure football in the forward line as well, and, you know, he probably can kick 80-odd if he backs it up.
He's a star, man. I'm with you there for sure.
Yep. 2 more for me, mate. Clayton Oliver. I just think he's the ultimate midfield bull. You can't stop him when he's on the ground, and he probably gets a few rubbish possessions as well, but I reckon he is just hard as nails, and he's amazing. The other one for me, number 5, Isaac Heaney, takes magic marks, kicks clutch goals, and he sort of added those big midfield numbers to his game last year. And I guess the one game that really sticks out to me is against Collingwood, where he changed it in the last quarter. He kicked goals, he took marks, he got positives, and he just won the game for him. So
one of the better games of footy I've ever seen from a player that game. You're talking about the Collingwood game.
Wasn't it amazing? It was just great.
Unreal. No, he's Mr. Everything for them, isn't he? Can play any position in the ground pretty much.
Yeah, except for on the ground in the grand final. But anyway, that's another
clip on the way out.
But Harley Reid, Jeremy Cameron, Jesse Hogan, Clayton Oliver, and Isaac Heaney for me. What about yourself, Nico?
Strong top 5, mate. To begin the year. For me, the Wizard Watson, mate.
Oh, he was your man at the end of last year.
He was. He was a regular for my same game multis. He fixed his goal kicking yips mid-year.
Yeah.
Sammy Mitchell pulled him aside and sorted that out. But he can take a hanger. He can kick some ridiculous goals from all parts of the inside 50, and he's just entertaining guy to watch. Celebrates, gets a crowd around him, so he puts bums on seats, and I think you'll get a lot more supply this year with Hawks.
Yep.
So he should be kicking a nice bag, I think, the Wizard.
Get the Wizard in there, and he's got a little bit of personality as well. I love the witches' hats that get around in the Hawks crowd. It's good.
Yeah, I might find myself donning one of those when he comes over. Chad Warner, this is a big year for him, contract year. So is he staying at Sydney? He's just bought a house in WA. He might be coming to Freo. We don't know. He might be coming to West Coast. Either way, I think he's going to have a breakout year trying to drive his price up, surely, mate.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And we do see it a lot with these players when they know they've got a contract year on the horizon, they step up. And I mean, he's good as it is. So, mate, you might be paying a high price to get him to Freo.
Don't know if we'll be able to squeeze him in the cap. We're already getting Pickett next year and a few others, apparently. So
yeah, apparently so.
But I did see him recently. He was the ambassador for the racing, Chad Warner, over in Sydney.
Really?
Doesn't know much about racing, incidentally.
Interviews weren't that great?
Yeah, he's happy to hold the cup, but when it came to actually talking up the race or anything that he's following the race, I had no idea what he was talking about.
That's hilarious.
So Chaddy Warner, sort yourself out there, mate. One young guy I really like the look of, mate, and I like young players that will play early footy.
Yeah.
It's Finn O'Sullivan for the Roos. He was a number 2 pick last year.
Oh, the big Finn.
Big smoky for round 1.
Love it.
Dominated recently in a pre-season match against the more seasoned midfielders, LDU, these types. And I think he's going to be an absolute ripper, mate.
Love it. Could you just have a few more top round picks there, North?
I know.
They're bloody greedy, aren't they?
Their midfield's just stacked with them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's incredible. So they just need to click and gel those young players, and they'll be a good side, I reckon. I'm bullish on the Roos in 2 or 3 years' time.
Love that from you. I don't know much about Finn, but I'm going to take your word for it, and we'll have him as a Risto marked man throughout the year.
Super coach. Get him in there.
Love it.
Bailey Smith, man.
Oh,
I love watching Bailey Smith streaming down the wing when he was in his prime.
Yep.
He's had some bad injuries, had some mental health issues, no doubt, at the Dogs. And the Geelong Cats just have a knack of just pulling these seasoned professionals and getting the best out of them, don't they?
They really do. And, mate, yesterday he played in a pracky game against, I think it might have been against the Bulldogs, actually, weirdly enough. And he was donning the white Dennis Lilly headband.
Yes.
Looking great. The mullet is back. And he only played the first half, picked up posies. He was looking good. So it's an early crow from you there, mate.
Well, I think they had, look at the pattern they had, Isaac Smith. They've had all these players that back in their career that have just helped them be that little bit better.
Yep.
And I think he fits in with that system well. A lot of guys that have had trouble in the mainstream Melbourne media head down to the Cats a little bit further out of the city and had to produce. So I think he's the man who might keep their premiership window alive.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. They just keep picking them up, the Cats.
They do, man. They're a destination club and they're always around the mark. So you can't argue if you're going to go there, you won't play finals footy.
Yeah,
they're
well,
always
that's so
there.
true.
So he's a big one for me. And then last but not least, mate, the big fella Riley Tilthorpe for Adelaide.
Ooh, the tilt.
We saw him burst on the scene. He kicked bags of 4 and 5, 3 and 4, and about 4-game streak in his second season. And we thought this guy's going to be anything.
Yeah.
Then has been riddled with back injuries, knee injuries, shoulder injuries. Haven't seen him really for the best part of 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a look at a preseason match this year when he was manhandling the backs that they were playing against him.
Really?
He played half a game of footy, kicked 4, put him on ice, said, no, we can't afford to risk him again. But if you think about him coming into a forward line with Walker, Rankin, Fogarty, I think that's a pretty decent forward line for Adelaide.
Not bad.
And
Not
I reckon
bad.
he'll probably get the second or third backman, which means he's going to probably do as he likes, I reckon, largely for a big part of the season. So he's a big fella, takes a big contested mark, and I think we'll see him emerge like a Josh Tracy type this year for Adelaide.
Love that from you. I reckon Fogarty's got to step up, actually. He's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I reckon too.
He's good at times. So that's your top 5, mate.
Yeah, so we've got, to round it out, the Wizard Watson, Chad Warner in the contract year, Finn O'Sullivan, the young draftee coming through, Bailey Smith for the Cats, and Riley Tilthorpe, the forgotten man.
Love that. So it's funny looking at our list. I've gone for the bona fide superstars. You've gone for the young bucks, up and comers.
Looking for the value in the same game multis before everyone else gets on.
Love that. Love that. Hey, mate, just with the AFL as well, it's that time of the year where we go, let's make a few predictions because, I don't know, mate, it's one of those things we like to record them down and then at the end of the year we can crow about them or we can just pretend we didn't make them. One of two.
Yeah, that's I like to lock us in, back ourselves in this time of year, mate.
Yeah,
everyone's
I love
an
it.
expert this time of year, aren't they? Hey,
They are. And I'm going to work backwards here from bad to worse. So
Okay.
You have got here Wooden Spooner. Who are you backing in for the Wooden Spoon?
well, we know one team that's traded out all their experienced players and are going for a full rebuild, and that's the Richmond Tigers, mate. I think
Tigers.
they're $1.40 to finish with Wooden Spoon.
Yeah.
The favourites, and then the second line of betting's West Coast at $7. So that market tells you enough, I reckon.
I think you're right. And do you know what, man? All I wrote was Richmond. You've summed it up. I don't need to say anymore.
What else did you say there next to Richmond there, mate?
They're going to suck, pure and simple. I'll own it.
Yes.
Can you argue, though? They are. They're going to be
They've
crap.
been sport, man. How many premierships they won?
Yep.
They've got to come down the bottom eventually, don't they, and start again.
Well, they do. And do you know what? As an Essendon supporter, I'm actually very jealous of what they're doing because I know with the Bombers, we've just always stayed around that 8th and 9th mark. You know, like we've never bottomed out. And if we had have, we probably would have won a final by now.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, they're going to bottom out big time, though, aren't they? It'll be tough to watch.
Oh, it's going to be horrible for a couple of years. But you know what? They'll be all right. Hey, I've got an unpopular prediction.
Yeah,
And I'm just going to throw this in quickly with the negatives. You're going to hate it, but I don't care. So my unpopular prediction for this year is Hawks are going to miss the finals. Yep, they were good. They were playing pure footy last year. It was basically young fellas gelling and essentially just having a good time. There was no expectation. But this year, all eyes are on them. People are saying, well, you guys, not only do you have to make the top 8, you've got to make the top 4. They're second favourite for the premiership at the moment. And they've done nothing.
Yeah, I can't deal with that second favouritism.
No,
I
they've
think
actually
that's-
done nothing. They picked up Barris, great.
Yep.
But I just can't see them living up to expectations. They're paying $3.75 to miss the 8, and I'm taking it.
Yeah, it's good value.
Yep.
And to be honest, I think in your favour, in terms of your prediction there, mate, they're going to have a tougher draw. They finished second on the second bottom the year before. They got a soft draw. They just missed out in the finals in the prior season, which means they'll play some decent teams.
Yep.
I think they can still go on a run. I don't know if they'll play finals or not, but at $3.75, I like the odds.
Take a little bit. Take a little slice of that, I reckon.
I think so, man. I think so. But it is unpopular. There's a lot of Poos and Wees fans out there in WA, isn't there?
They'll be piling on.
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy with
Thanks
me.
for throwing the controversy out in the first episode of the year, mate. A bit of clickbait, is it? I'm not sure, but we'll see.
I think it's fair. All right, so you also had a lock for top 4.
Yeah, this is a bit tough, man. I think there's probably a number of teams that can make their way up the ladder, but other than my good boys in Freo, I really like GWS to make the top 4.
Yep.
They were around the mark till very late last year. It's a list stacked full of top round draft picks. They're $2 to make the top 4, and second favourites to make the top 4 behind the Lions. So, mate, I think they're a banker. To be honest, happy to put him in there, and I think they've got some cream there and some quality within that list.
They lost about 5 guns, gained about 5 guns.
Yeah.
All's fair in love and war. A few will miss at the start of the year, but they'll make up for that. So it's not a bad call, mate.
Yeah, but they've been around. There's a few of them that have been around that nucleus for a while now.
Yep.
I think they're starting to put it together, and their senior players, their elite players, are all at that window now where they should be playing their best footy. And mate, they're right into the next up until probably 3 rounds out last year. They lost a couple close ones, and that's what happens.
I like Kingsley as well.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty scary dude.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mess with him if I was
that's
a player.
pretty good summary.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be messing with that bloke. That's for sure, man.
For me, I
What
thought
about you?
Sydney, they're going to be raring to go. Obviously, last year and 2022, they lost grand finals.
Yep.
Look, there's no doubt they can get there again. Can they climb the mountain? Maybe. But they can definitely get to base camp. I think they'll make the top 4, especially with the fresh message from the big Cox, Dean Cox as well. 210 to make the 4. I reckon lock that in.
You about Coxie's little Swifty training the other day?
No.
So they ran a 3K time trial, which they do every pre-season under Horse Longmire.
Yeah.
He just said, just take a 30-second spell, boys, because you're going around again.
Oh.
And just ran him through another. So
that's brutal.
Big Cox, I heard him talk the other day in the media. He's a real interesting guy. I actually like him. He's not
Good
cookie
speaker.
cutter. He kind of talks from the heart. He's a little bit vulnerable, and I like that story from Coxie. He just sort of said, well, look, mate, nothing's predictable unto me.
Yep.
I'm going to throw the weirdest things at you guys and see how you react in those situations.
Yeah.
And apparently straight away as a head coach, he's seen a bunch of guys drop their head and go, oh, God, and a bunch of leaders get around the boys and rev them up. So he's big on behavioural type things, and I think mate, I'm excited to see how he goes, and I think Sydney, to your point, mate, they've got to be around there, don't they?
They'd have to be. They'd surely have to be, which is going to take us to our premiership predictions, mate, and I'm going to jump on first with the theory that we discussed last year, and the grand final was essentially this, you've got to lose one to win one theory. So Brisbane, they did it against Collingwood, lost the grand final, came back the next year and had a win, which was amazing. And Sydney have lost 2 of the last 3 grand finals. So they've got to be hungry. If they don't win it, they've still got the same cattle who are elite. They've got a new coach, a new message, and at $11 to win the flag, I like Sydney.
Yeah, they look like they were just like light years ahead of the rest of the teams mid-season, didn't they?
Yep.
The wheels fell off a bit late. We talked about it in the podcast. I was listening on the way to the studio, and they played that stupid zone in the grand final, which probably cost them the flag. So I think Cox would be wise to that, and I think he'll bring a new game style in. And as you said, list has remained stable, which is important, right?
Big
no
time.
massive changes, and guys like Chad Warner are going to pull the finger out, I reckon.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to impress him throughout the year. What are you thinking for the premiership, mates?
Well, I looked at the teams. It was tough. Firstly, you're going to take the bias out of it. Obviously, everyone's speaking Freo, but we're not going to put them in just because it's a popular sentiment. But I think the Lions, mate, I looked at their list. They lost Joe Danaher. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big avenue to goal.
It is a big avenue to goal, but they've got Will Ashcroft's younger brother to come into the mix. They get a full season out of Tom Doty, who was an All-Australian back for Adelaide 2 years ago. Lincoln McCarthy pays a full season. I reckon they're a force. They're $7.50 to win it. Freo
like it.
$12. Hawthorn, as we said, interestingly, second favourite at $8.50. I'd be taking the Lions at $7.50 over the Poos and Wees at $8.50 any day of the week.
Well, I'm telling you, mate, Hawthorn ain't going to make the 8. So
forget the $8.50.
Yeah,
So
don't even bother with it.
50 to 1 to 1, you reckon?
How are Hawthorn $8.50 when your boys Freo are $12? Like, I know we're not going to delve into talk about our own teams today, but Freo are looking hot.
Oh, I just wonder whether it's purely about numbers and volume of bets. Obviously, Hawthorn have a huge following, as do Collingwood. They're always pointed in the markets, these teams. Yeah. Even when you don't think they're probably a decent chance. So I think the bookies have got it wrong, personally. Might come back to blow us up in the face, in 50 weeks' time, man, or whatever it is. But we'll find out.
You'd know this better than me. I'm just guessing here, but I would assume there's not a big pool of betting yet for the flag. Like, not many people are taking plunges. So if you get one or two reasonable bets, does that pretty quickly skew the odds?
It would, mate. Yeah, no, you're spot on. Not much money sitting in these markets early on. But also, I mean, we're here on Pump Pals, right?
Exactly.
It's an attractive proposition early year to have a crack at your team when they're at a decent value. Mate,
good time to make a call.
Freo might be $4 or $5 for their premiership after round 4.
Exactly right. So it's a good time to just get on them if you're feeling confident about your team or any other team. Have a punt. And that takes us to our Brownlow predictions, because I reckon this is where you can get some really good value. You're going to be happy with mine, but I'm going to go with you first.
Yeah, I like Paddy Cripps again.
Cripsy.
I think the lessons from the Brownlow, man, I tell you what, like, it depends on who's going to rob votes off you in the midfield.
Yep.
So it's a midfielder's award. We know that. He's $9 to win it again, which I think is well overs. There's not many others in the midfield that are going to rob votes from him, to be honest. There's a couple others that are massive overs, and I think you've chosen one, so I won't go and steal your thunder. But in terms of the market itself, Dacos leads the betting at $5.50. Cripps on that second line with Lockie Neal and a couple of others at about $8, $9. But you won't be getting $9 in 3 or 4 weeks' time after round 1.
Nah, after a couple of big rounds, all of a sudden it goes in quickly.
So if you take, and this is probably another lesson for the punt before we get stuck into it, mate. If you take 3 of those top favourites for the premiership at $7.50 to $10, $11,
yep,
and you have a spread of 3 bets at $10, any of those win, you're going to double your money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can play a bit of value. That's how you play the book, I guess. In a month's time, you may not get those odds, and it's hard to rig it in your favour. So
good maths from Nico over there. You'll still double your money by taking all of them. That's excellent.
Dad'll be proud of me as an accountant. The black sheep in the family is a marketing man. So, yeah, mate. Cop that, Dad.
Mate, with my predictions as well. Okay, so you weren't stealing my thunder, actually. It was actually going to be a really good lead-in. So I'm running with Caleb Sarong this year. Yeah. And at the start of the week, you had here $21. Looks massive overs. Start of the week, he was $21. He's into 18 as of this afternoon. It's Tuesday Arvo here. Yeah. So I think that's playing into the plunge betting once again. And someone had a few big bets on him, do you think?
Well, there's obviously the Indigenous versus All-Stars game on the weekend.
Of course.
Played a good half of footy. They rested him forward. He looked like he was going to hit the scoreboard a couple of times if he kicked straight.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the only knock I've got on him is how many votes is Brayshaw going to steal off him?
I don't reckon it matters. I don't reckon it matters. He polled well last year. Yeah, he wasn't far off the mark. And if Freo looked good this year, he's going to be the epicenter of their game.
$18 is a huge price.
Yep. And you always see Brownlow medalists come from premiership or grand final teams. It's not unusual. So I think he can actually get it done this year. He's that good.
So you're bullish on the Freo as well, clearly.
Yeah, I am.
Yep.
I am. Like, well, look at the forward line. You know, Tracy and Amos, obviously two young bucks who are going to be great. Tracy emerged last year. We thought Amos was going to be the man. And then you add Bolton to it. The midfield's awesome. Backline's great. I mean, they're good on all lines. So I think Freo are a chance. It's whether they can just get over the yips.
Yeah, I think, obviously biased being a Freo supporter, but I think what happened last year when they lost Alex Pearce and they lost their 2 bookends in Josh Tracy and Alex Pearce, they fell into a heap.
Yeah.
So they've got to have a few things go right for them. I think if either of those guys get injured, I'm not sure they quite have the coverage for the likes of Tracy. But if they stay fit, man, you've got to have them in the mix.
Yeah, it's now or never. It's now or never for Freo. I think they've got to get it done this year. Mate, that brings us to the end of the potty, actually. One more thing I was going to bring up just before we do finish off, because we were talking about value in punting, and there was one thing that I remember from a couple of years ago. You're never going to get this again, but you'll remember it. Do you remember when Better first emerged onto the market and they were giving 101 odds for the premiership?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, man, that was the year Collingwood won. Both me and the missus had $10 each on Collingwood. It was great.
On the pies?
Yeah, $2,000 in the bank.
I think I took Geelong. I was stiff. That is a good collect, mate.
Yeah, it was great. And they gave it for Alamo in the Cox Plate. Was it Alamo?
They had Animo for $20 in the Cox Plate.
Animo, yeah.
And they had NBA. I think NBA Premiers at 101 to 1 as well, yeah.
NRL Premiership.
NRL. I got the Panthers in the NRL. I was stoked with that.
Oh, did you? I actually split my bets on that. So you could go $2 on each team. So you get $200 if they win. And none of mine won.
Did you? Well, mate, you got the pies one up. You probably never better again ever since, have you?
No, I withdrew my money and said, see you later.
I was mates with a couple of guys
Shout out
working there
Better.
at the time, and geez, if any of the favourites one of those leagues, I would just strip them out and send them bankrupt. So, I mean, an Animo one, it would have been an expensive day for them in the Cox.
Oh, and because that was the first one. That was the first of this big procession of bets that were going to come in, man.
So what are you, I mean, you're on the down the 101 path. Are you angling for a market from Tab Dutch or something? Or
I'd love it.
you're
Mate,
just taking us back to the glory days of the big winners?
I was taking you back to the glory days, but if you're going to throw 101 on market my way, which is doable,
Yep.
I'm all ears. So are our listeners.
Well, I think the combination, I was going to throw it in there too. If you can do combinations with different wagering operators for Brownlow, Premier, top four,
yeah.
as an example, some of those combos are like 251 to 1, man.
Okay. All right. I'm going to set you the challenge for this week, and I'm going to do it as well.
Okay.
Find us your best, before the season starts, your best 100 to 1 multi.
Combo for AFL
Yep.
exclusively. Okay.
AFL exclusively, and I mean, it's probably going to be futures, obviously.
Yep.
Like you're not going to be getting
Nah.
that on the preseason games.
No, I'm not going to be doing that at Ballarat this weekend. And also listeners, throw yours on the Facebook page too.
Yeah.
We'd
I
love
wanna
to
see
see
it.
anything 100 plus. Futures markets, AFL. Love it, Robbie. Get around it.
So it could be like Premiership into Brownlow into Coleman, or a real roughie for the Brownlow into a Premiership.
That's the most common one is that sorry, and you hit it now on the head, mate. Brownlow, Coleman, Premiership.
Love it.
It's available on pretty much all the wagering operators, so that'll be the one to get around.
If you can't work that out, you're in the wrong place. So
Work how to put it on or work how to find the winner. That's the hard part.
yeah, well, finding the winner is a different thing. But anyway, mate, great comeback, I reckon. That was good.
Nah, we're off and running, mate. We're just building a few new segment ideas as well for the next few weeks, so look out, mate. It's going to be plenty happening there.
Love it. Plenty of work to do this week. Find those 100 to 1 multis. We'll see if we can find a winner. We'll put a few on for sure. And see you later.
See you guys. Take it easy.
Noise Pilot.